Imagine sending your child over to a trusted friend's home for a sleepover, only to find out that the very person you trusted violated your child. This deeply unsettling story takes us through a case involving an ex-teacher in Singapore who was found guilty of molesting a 12-year-old girl during a sleepover with his daughter. How could this happen in what seemed like a safe environment? Let's dive into the details of this chilling case. Welcome back to 2230, where we bring you the most detailed and factual coverage of news that matters. Today we're covering a shocking incident of betrayal and breach of trust involving a former teacher. Do stay tuned as we piece together the facts of this case and analyze what happened, the evidence presented, and the ultimate outcome. We also want to hear from you. What do you think about this case and what could have been done differently? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This case involves an ex-teacher who has been convicted of molesting a 12-year-old girl at his home. The incident occurred on February 27, 2021, during a sleepover organized between two families that had become close. Both the victim's mother and the defendant were teachers at the same school, and they even lived in the same condominium block. This level of closeness and familiarity would have made the events that followed almost unthinkable. After the two families had dinner together, the 12-year-old victim went over to the defendant's home for a sleepover with his 8-year-old daughter. As the girls sat on the top bunk bed, their legs covered by a duvet, they engaged in a harmless activity, designing outfits using a mobile app called Combine. But what happened next shattered the safety of that seemingly innocent night. At some point past midnight, the defendant approached the bunk bed where his daughter and the victim were sitting. Court documents described the presence of the defendant beside the bunk bed as undisputed. What followed was a shocking violation. The defendant reached under the duvet and the victim's shorts to touch her thigh, before moving his hand to her genital area. The young girl was in shock and chose not to tell her friend about it at that moment, as she did not want to scar her friend with what was happening. Instead, she tried to continue with their activity, eventually telling her friend that she was tired and suggesting that they go to sleep. The morning after, the victim reported the incident to a close friend before eventually informing her mother that same evening. This young girl's bravery in speaking up was crucial, and she also took the step of writing her account of the incident in a notebook, which she later gave to her school's vice principal. She also prepared a longer written note that she kept to herself. The victim's actions show just how important it is for victims of abuse to speak out, despite how challenging it might be. The district judge found the victim's evidence unusually convincing and consistent. Her decision to confide in a friend, report it to her mother, and write down her accounts gave her story added credibility. It was also noted that the victim was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD) after the incident, which further supported the seriousness of the crime. The defendant, however, denied all allegations. He argued that he was not tall enough to reach the victim in the way described and pointed to inconsistencies in the victim's account, particularly regarding the duration of the molestation and the way he touched her thigh. He claimed his daughter had not noticed anything unusual and provided data from his smartwatch to support his argument that he was asleep at 1:57 a.m., the time when the crime was alleged to have occurred. However, during the trial, the district judge found that these defenses did not hold up. While there were minor discrepancies in the victim's testimony, the judge deemed them inconsequential. The smartwatch data also failed to raise any reasonable doubt about the crime. According to the data, the defendant's heart rate indicated he was in light sleep and deep sleep during the time frame of the incident, but Justice C. Ki-Eun dismissed this claim during an appeal in September 2024, stating that there was no proof that the smartwatch data reliably represented the defendant's actual activities during that night. Justice C also pointed out that even if the smartwatch data was assumed to be correct, it only indicated a possible misinterpretation of the exact time of the incident. What mattered was that the core facts of the incident remained consistent, with the victim providing clear and coherent testimony regarding the molestation itself. The judge ultimately upheld the original verdict, finding the defendant guilty of outrage of modesty in March 2024 and sentencing him to 23 months in jail along with 3 strokes of the cane. This story is incredibly distressing, and it raises so many questions. How do we protect children in environments that seem safe? Should wearable tech like smartwatches be considered reliable evidence in serious cases like these? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this complex issue. Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to 2230 if you appreciate in-depth coverage of the news that matters. Your support helps us continue delivering content that brings value to you, our viewers. Tap the notification bell so you won't miss our next update. And please stay tuned as we continue to bring you the news that keeps you informed and engaged.